Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So today we'll be talking something very important. I actually brought this video here, but there are more stitches to it, which even made it more interesting. A lot of people still open air, airing their opinions about what somebody said about Jefferson. Jefferson, that he had no children from slave and he's been disproven and might be his brother, and it is just amazing how these people can go to any length to make black people's experience look like it's invalid, or make it look like all these things black people have been talking about are not true, and the rest of it. Now, there is nothing wrong in on learning and relearning. I mean, it's just part of life and all that, but they would rather sit on that their heroes, the heroes that they knew, that because to them the heroes are usually very pure and they are like the cleanest, they are the most valuable, they did nothing, they are saints and all that. The world is really going digital so much that you can actually Google anything on the internet and find out any information you are looking for and all that. So to this very moment, a lot of people are still saying that black people are liars, that they lied about all this and all that. And I am going to ask this: why do you all think that our experiences, or whatever that has happened to us, does not need to be told? You know what?
For questions of faith, no proof has ever mattered. For questions of religion, no evidence is ever enough. This is perpetuating the mentality of the enslaver, which comes down to this: the word of no black person is worth the word of a white person. The value of no black person is worth the value of a white person. That's what this is. All kinds of oral history, the word of black people, that this is in fact the case. But however, the word of a couple of white people matters a whole lot more. How does that actually work in people's minds today? Now, we can, in fact, value these things equally and then require, in fact, evidence, implied by the interesting use of disproven here. We can take the oral history of Madison Hemmings, and then we can add on to that evidence produced by historical method to corroborate as much of that oral history as possible. And then we can layer on top of that DNA evidence through a rare haplogroup that only males in the Jefferson line possess, conducted by 3 separate laboratories, all under blind conditions, meaning they had no idea what they were testing and for whom, all achieving the same result: that Eston Hemmings, the brother of Madison Hemmings, could only have been the son of a male Jefferson. And the only male Jefferson that was at all remotely possible a candidate was Thomas Jefferson. Might have been his brother. I'm not quite so sure, Sean, whatever your name is, that you know how this works. Maybe you don't. You have to kind of be there to conceive. Randolph Jefferson's brother was never there. So in terms of the evidence we have, not possible. Only Thomas Jefferson is the only candidate. And now, because of the genetic gains by for-profit companies such as Ancestry and 23andMe, we've corroborated that the descendants of Madison Hemmings. We have a lot of people getting tested for this stuff. This stuff gets more proven almost literally every single day by the science, by all kinds of other DNA. So we have the ostensibly objective evidence provided by science. One would think irrefutable. And as the article was published in Nature in 1998, to a 99% certainty. Plus, the historical evidence, the historical method, that corroborates the oral history of Madison Hemmings, which corroborates the contemporary evidence of what people said at the time. So you have contemporary evidence about what people around Jefferson are saying. You have the oral history of Madison Hemmings. You have the historical evidence provided by the historical method of historians such as Annette Gordon-Reed. And you have the science that clearly finds that Thomas Jefferson was with a 99% certainty the father of the direct ancestor of Eston Hemmings. Okay, but this just comes down to one thing. What is the value of the word of a black person over the value of the word of a white person? Why continue to argue this? Because there's a lot of intellectual, maybe that's overstating it, a lot of mental circumlocutions that you have to go through to persist in this, which is the dream, the fantasy land of the far right that must keep their heroes pure, and therefore keeping their words pure. Because what's the word of a black person against the word of a, and I bet you I haven't looked at his profile. I tend not to for these kind of things. Just before I block them, I bet you this guy is of that particular demographic. Church of Thomas Jefferson, Nunc Dimittis, which comes down to this. The word of no black person is worth the word of a white person.
Hey there, so I'm a Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson descendant. I used to talk about it on this account all the time, but I don't anymore. But I really appreciate what this historian is doing here. So he's talking about the history of Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson. And of course, as always, for generations, there are people that are in his comments that are saying that it's just not true. It doesn't matter what the DNA says. It doesn't matter what all the records are showing. It doesn't matter about the oral history. There are people who refuse to believe it, and they'll even go as far to say that she wasn't really black. They'll say that she was a social climber. They'll say all these things that just aren't true, and he's dispelling and challenging anybody that's in his comments that's saying horrible things, which is something I don't do anymore. I originally went viral on this platform because I was talking about my family lineage, but I don't talk about it anymore because I don't like arguing with people that say ridiculous things. It's just not worth it. And I feel like my family has fought for such a long time to prove where we came from. And I don't want to continue that fight because they've done everything that they could. The reason why this video was so important to me and that this historian is doing that is it really makes me think about my grandma. And when she was a kid, when she was a little girl, she went to school and they were talking about family history. And she, in front of her class, said very proudly, well, I am a descendant of Sally Hemings. And she was telling her classmates who Sally Hemings were, and her class all called her liar. And that was something that bothered her so much that when she was older and had the opportunity to go to Monticello, she's like, I'm not going to Monticello. These people don't believe us. They think that we're liars. And historians for such a long time called my family liars until the 90s. And even still, there's so many historians that we have to really battle with. So it's really heartwarming to see the historians that are on the right side of history. It's undeniable. It's ridiculous to me that people still want to fight this. I just appreciate seeing that there are historians that are still doing the work and are doing this with the approach of not diminishing the story and the voices of Black people. So kudos to you. Ally.
So go watch that video for context, but it's basically talking about Thomas Jefferson having children with Sally Hemings. It's a historical fact that we really don't need to argue over, but I found it funny that people still find it difficult to believe that historical figures could do bad things. Now, the only thing that I'm really going to say about that is that if you look at the timeline of the birth of all of Jefferson's children, they were born coincidentally 9 months after every time he visited Monticello. It's a coincidence that you cannot look over when it happens more than 3 times. But aside from this, I think people would be baffled to know that most of Jefferson's close associates knew about Sally Hemings' place in Jefferson's life and openly recognized it privately when they were with Jefferson. As a matter of fact, Madison Hemings' first name, one of Jefferson and Sally Hemings' children, is not Madison, it's James Madison, as in the fourth president of the United States, James Madison. When Madison Hemings was born, Dolly Madison offered to stand as godmother to the new baby. Obviously, she really didn't serve as godmother. It was an empty promise, but it was a recognition privately by other slaveholders and by Jefferson's close intimates that they recognized the relationship or the place that Sally held in Jefferson's life. Sally Hemings was not able to consent to her relationship with Jefferson, given that he was a 45-year-old man and she was under the age of 18. But it's not a controversy that Jefferson publicly disavowed, neither is it something that he denied amongst people who came and asked him about it. During the early years of his presidency, Jefferson fell out with a newspaper editor named James Callender, who, in revenge for Jefferson not giving him the refund for a fine, published a story detailing his relationship with Sally Hemings. The fact that Jefferson never publicly acknowledged the accusations and knew full well that they were true, and so did all of his friends, should be enough to tell you that there is no controversy about the paternity of Sally Hemings' children. Neither should we doubt the fact that he kept her essentially as a concubine for at least 40 years. It's not controversial. He did that. But yeah, that was just my little spiel for today.
This is perpetuating the mentality of the enslaved.
I've been watching Dr. Stormer go back and forth in his comment section with people who don't believe that Thomas Jefferson fathered children with Sally Hemings. And if you don't know who Sally Hemings is, you're probably one of those 11 states that seceded from the Union in 1861. Sally Hemings was a woman that Thomas Jefferson owned. But what I don't understand is why there's so many Jefferson apologists out there willing to deny this fact. The man owned 600 people over the course of his lifetime. And this is just my opinion. But if you're morally bankrupt enough to own people, having sex with one of them doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility. It's almost as if some of you were saying, we're okay with the fact that he enslaved people, but to have sex with one of them, well, that would just tarnish his good name. As if the slavery in and of itself wasn't bad enough for you. No, maybe I'm just being naive, but it does seem like a lot of you were drawing these really weird and morally ambiguous lines in the sand. Let me simplify things for you. All the founding fathers had the same things in common. They were rich, white, pro-slavery, genocidal maniacs. Now, I mentioned this before, but I have a great-great-great-great-uncle who used to be the Attorney General for North Carolina, and he had a building named after him at the University of North Carolina. They have since changed the name because he was a recruiter for the Ku Klux Klan, and I have absolutely zero interest in preserving his good name. And I like to think if he could see what I was doing right now, he would be extremely disappointed in me. Well, anyway, this has been Doc for Diesel Punk Industries saying Thomas Jefferson was a horrible, horrible human being. Thanks for watching, and as always, Crunchy White, pimp forever.
So this is all I got from this, and this is really, I think I brought this here before, but the stitches are entirely different because a lot of people are still talking about it. And I saw this person also, the lady, I was like, I'm definitely bringing this here because it's really amazing how it is very hard for people to believe Black people. I don't know why that, but it's really very sad. So it is really amazing how they will go to any length to defend their own heroes because to them, their heroes are pure. Their heroes do not have any stains and all that. But I keep asking myself, why is it that, some people, it is very hard for some people to unlearn. Some people are so rigid that even when they say the truth, even when they say that this is the truth and this is lie, they will still choose the lie as long as it got to do with whoever they call their hero and all that. I think this is just a very wrong thing, or maybe some people are just being dumb. I'm not just only being dumb. Some people do not ever, not even for a day, do not want to acknowledge what happened to Black people, what Black people went through, or still going through to this very moment. So to them, whatever thing that is going on around Black people is not something, is not anything to talk about. There is no need to talk about it. There is no need to believe them, because why would you believe them? Because there is no evidence that will ever be enough, and it is always their word against our own word, and that is really very sad. Like he said, the word of no Black person is worth the word of a white person, and that it's absolutely on period. He knew what he was saying. He really said it. He is it's so plain. The value of a Black person is what the value of a white person. And that way, if you know, you know. If you don't know, that it's your problem. And I hope a lot of people are going to wake up to understand that there are some people that they look up to. I mean, there are some people, it's okay to look up to some people, but when, I am always very truthful. That's why I do not see any celebrity or see someone, maybe those people you call heroes, and I do not see anybody as a hero and all that. I might just respect you, but I do not know sentimental attachment or anything. If I I easily detach and all that. I mean, when I see the truth, I try as much as I can to let people know this is it and this is not, So we all can do better and stop disrespecting Black people, stop denigrating, stop thinking that our experiences are not important or does not matter, because to you, or anything that has happened to us does not even matter to you and all that. Like the lady said that when I think her grandmother or whoever the person she said that told them about her, where she comes from, the descendant she came from, they called her a liar, because everybody, as long as you're a Black person, you are a liar. Anyway, that's all I got to say. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.